But we got lucky because my friend Fofo, listen to me, my friend Hunter Dawkins, who's the publisher and owner of the Gazebo Gazette and a contributor to SuperTalk Mississippi News and SuperTalk Mississippi Media, happened to be waiting in the wings. He's actually at our studios as we speak. Hunter, how you doing, my friend?
Doing well, Ricky. I appreciate it. You guys having me on. And also, too, it's a great, sunny, beautiful day. And, especially among all the local high schools and colleges in Mississippi, everything's going well.
It is. Actually, you're going to join me tomorrow. And I look forward to having a little bit deeper conversation with you tomorrow about kind of, what all you've been working on. But just kind of keeping with the theme of the show today, being a mayor, I mean, it has its ups and downs, but the budget process for any mayor is never fun, is it?
No, it's definitely not, because especially despite the economic growth and the economic impact that you have, there's definitely going to be cuts in departments. And, there is only a limited number of positions. For instance, I'll give you Pass Christian. They had to cut a number of departments because obviously you want to have your resources to provide for public safety and for, the harbor and things as such like that. So that being said, there are going to have to be a lot of decisions made that are not necessarily what people want.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I had the opportunity to chat, and I look forward to having him on the show soon, the new mayor of the city of Pass Christian. But he mentioned that, he's got some work to do, some cleaning up to do to, kind of wrestle some of those issues to the ground. How's he doing so far?
Kenny's doing well. And, I've known Kenny since I was 5 years old, and that's a long, I know some people may not think it's that long, but it's been a long time. And, Kenny is a very hardworking, a very good man. And the most important thing that I've said about one of the former mayors, Chairman, who I know you know very well, Ricky, Chipper and Kenny are both the same, coming from the same flock. And there is not any two people that love the city of Pass Christian more than that. And so that kind of has to put it into your perspective in just a political format. They're not necessarily 100% about politics one way or the other. They're more about the people of Pass Christian. And you have to remember that, especially being in the news like myself, and that their devotion is to their city more than it is to whatever way people might think.
Yeah. So, sometimes when you get into a new city like Pass Christian and you start to lift up the covers, it gets super complicated. But Kenny, you think, is doing a pretty good job of kind of understanding what needs to be done?
Yeah, and of course, and one of the unfortunate things for Kenny and for the aldermen who all campaigned on not raising taxes any more than what was there, that was unfortunate, because the city clerk and a few of the other departments made the budget, and it was virtually impossible to be able to not cut departments and keep things steady to where they had to at least raise taxes, because, and it's not, the mayor or the Board of Aldermen's fault, but it was, a previous thing that just kind of came out. And to be able to provide resources for the citizens of Pass Christian, and this is not only Pass Christian, this is City of Gulfport, City of Long Beach, City of Biloxi, and D'Iberville. They need to have things put in place to where they can keep those opportunities available.
Yeah, actually, again, we'll have the mayor of Pass Christian on and really kind of do a deep dive. What's it like? Again, I felt the same way. I don't know him well, but I knew Chipper well. Chipper McDermott, longtime mayor of Pass Christian. Chipper was so dedicated and so energetic about the city. It was great to see him during the Katrina events and say hello to him.
And Kenny is too. Kenny is just as devoted as Chipper was. And he is, got all of he's spent his whole life in Pass Christian, even with his own business, and gone through quite a bunch.
Yeah. That's really good. Actually, one of the mayors that I've really enjoyed watching is the new mayor of Long Beach, who's been on the show. I can't wait to have him back. Tim Pierce, known him for a long time. When we come back on the other side, I'll give you some observations about what I'm seeing about his new tenure. When we come back, we'll have a final segment with our friend Hunter Dawkins. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. Hate that we had to end the conversation with Fofo Gillich after such a terrific conversation, but his Wi-Fi issues didn't get selected. And we got lucky. Hunter Dawkins happened to be at the studios at SuperTalk, Mississippi, and we asked him to join us. And we're just kind of chatting about things. Yeah, Hunter's close to the ground on a lot of issues happening in the cities. Well, through his publication, the Gazebo Gazette. And so it's always great to catch up with Hunter. I mentioned Tim Pierce. Listen, I love the guy. We go back a long way. We went to Southern Miss together, kind of ran together at one point in our lives. And he had just wonderful, wonderful career at NASA at Stennis Space Center. And as we have discussed many times, as he got further in his career, actually led to strategic planning for Stennis for NASA. So he comes into the city of Long Beach, a longtime citizen of the city of Long Beach, longtime active in the community, involved in education, the whole 9 yards, but with this kind of strategic management mindset. And someone who you could tell from just talking to him was going to really enjoy being the mayor. I mean, he is going to eat it up. And so when I'm looking at Instagram, Hunter, and I look at these pictures of him, giving these awards out, and you can tell he's just having a good time. He's enjoying what he's doing. You sense that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was at the chamber breakfast yesterday where it was the presentation where Mayor Pierce gave the Aline Doherty Award to one of the legendary teachers at Long Beach School District, and because Tim also had a pretty good presence of being on the school board for 20 years, he made a lot of that connection. And also with officers and the public works and first respondents, that was, and firefighter, they were all awarded. And that's something that I think Tim has done a great job with, and being very present and discussing, the difficulties about the city and the accomplishments they've had in his first 100 days. But he's got a lot of big shoes to fill up. And it's not just because of the previous administration, who did a great job with providing grants for the city of Long Beach, but it's facing economic improvement. And you talk about this yourself in all of your columns, Ricky. This is something that the area, specifically Long Beach, the only Gulf Coast city without either a Walmart or a casino. Now, I'm not necessarily telling you that they need a Walmart or a casino, but they need to have an economic impact to be able to provide those resources that we spoke about earlier. And I think Tim knows that. There are some different directions that I think that, maybe some constituents might be at odds with. I'm not so much sure, but we'll see what happens. And Tim is certainly the guy that's going to take the step and try to be able to do. He's a lifelong resident of Long Beach, and I can promise you there isn't anybody in the city of Long Beach that loves the city more than Tim Pierce.
Well, and one of the things that he and I talked about, and I think this is one of the reasons why him coming to the table with that strategic management mindset, what he learned at Stennis, and being around all those smart people. And he and as a former CEO, this is the kind of things I had to be thinking about. And earlier in my career, I led corporate strategic planning efforts. So it's getting a clear picture of where you are now, and then painting a picture of where you want to go. And I think he's going to do a good job of beginning to communicate what the future will bring, and then starting to build bridges to get from where you are now to where you want to go, and understanding what your strengths are, and understanding what the opportunities are, understanding what the threats are. And he's going to do it in a very orderly way, because that's kind of how his mind works. And then on top of that, he's going to be a great communicator when it comes to actually telling people what needs to happen. And he built that trust over 20 years on the school board. So I think he's the right man for the job at this moment.
I certainly agree with you, Ricky. I mean, he has nothing but my support and much of the citizens of Long Beach getting close to 80% of the vote. Everybody wants to see him, do something. Now, uh, as he spoke about in the chamber breakfast yesterday, there are some different avenues that I think there might be some differences in opinions. But that being said, he's willing to put it, and that's what I value more than anything else. And I think that's certainly, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I could say the same thing for Bobby Cox, the new mayor of Ocean Springs. I could say the same thing about the new mayor of Gulfport. Hugh's doing a terrific job. I mean, we could take them one at a time going down, and even those who were reelected, there's an enthusiasm about this place, and they're all working extremely hard. I loved visiting with Mayor Knight last week, or actually 2 weeks ago at the live remote that we had, and his passion for his city and making sure his city reaps the benefits of the opportunities in front of him. Watching Paige Roberts and the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce work with him to make sure they have a plan and understand where they're headed. It's exciting to watch this. And one of the beauties of doing this show is I get a chance to chat with every single one of them, tell their stories, and give them an opportunity to kind of, share their vision. But listen, you're going to be joining me tomorrow, and we're going to be spending a little bit more time talking about the sports side of your world. And so until then, I appreciate you, my friend. This has been Hunter Dawkins, and we'll see you after this break.